Hello again, friends, and welcome into another edition of Wrestling with Rusty right here on YouTube for August 20th, 2023, the third video of the day. Go out and check out the other videos today on this channel, as well as any video on this channel. Most of it is pro wrestling, but not all of it. So go check it out. Please remember to like the videos on this channel, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends to subscribe to the channel. Now, before I get started, someone asked me one time, who is your biggest crush in pro wrestling? And I thought about it for a minute, and I thought former professional wrestler Susan Green, a lady wrestler, would be tied with the the object of this video, which is the perfect 10 Nickla Roberts, Babydoll, manager of Tully Blanchard and the Four Horsemen and Ric Flair from many years ago. Let me say that Nickla Roberts Bird is married to Chad Bird, and they live somewhere in Hudson, North Carolina, about 3 hours, I think, from Charlotte, an hour and a half to 3 hours from Charlotte. And they're doing well, and Rusty Laudermilk is not trying to break up any marriages for Nickla Roberts Bird or any female. But having said all that, someone asked me, who is your biggest crush? And I would say in the past, I don't have any crushes now. I'm over that stage. I'm trying to get a woman for a long term, one to one relationship. But if I had a biggest crush, it would be a tie between Susan Green and, without a doubt, Nickla Roberts, Babydoll. I first became aware of her work in Jim Crockett Promotions when she came to Jim Crockett Promotions in the 1980s and worked as Babydoll. I saw some of her stuff as Andrea, the lady giant from World Class, as a valet in World Class. She was hot back then. She was hot in the 80s. I saw a video of her just a week or two ago from a few weeks back. She's still hot, um, and is a really sexy woman. I've exchanged messages with her on Facebook a few times when I had a Facebook account. By the way, I'm not on Facebook, so please don't try to look me up, anybody. But I canceled my Facebook page. But I can be reached at Rusty, RUSTY, dot Loudermilk, LOUDERMILK, at yahoo.com. Again, Rusty, RUSTY, dot Loudermilk, LOUDERMILK, at yahoo.com. But I always liked, when I watched Baby Doll on TV and at the Charlotte Coliseum, I always liked her work, not just her beauty in in person or on TV, but her work as a pro wrestling manager. She knew how to get heat at a time when getting heat in professional wrestling was what you were supposed to do. Now, I don't think people could get heat in professional wrestling if they had a damn blowtorch. And it's not because everybody knows what's going on, because some people knew what were going on back in those days too. But the difference is, the reason why she and many others of her generation were able to get heat is because they treated the business with dignity and respect, and they treated it like a sport, even though it was not a sport. They took it seriously. And because they took it seriously, the fans took it seriously. Now, most of the wrestling today doesn't even try to take it seriously, and that's why you can't get heat, even if you had a blowtorch. But back to Baby Doll. Nickla Roberts was and is the sexiest woman on the history of the planet in terms of pro wrestling. Even at her age, in her 50s, and a grandmother now, um, or playing the part of a grandmother to an adopted child, I think. She still is a very attractive lady and looks back fondly on her time in professional wrestling and some of the interviews that I've seen that she's done with other people. She's married to former independent wrestler Chad Bird, BYRD. So please, nobody send Chad after me. Chad, I'm not after your wife. But just have a real respect and admiration for Baby Doll. And I had a crush on her for a number of years. And it took many years for me to get over that crush. And I've exchanged messages with her on Facebook a couple times in the past when I had a Facebook message. Never told her that I had a crush on her for many years because that might make somebody these days feel uncomfortable. But somebody else asked me who was my pro wrestling crush, and so I'm coming clean on this video and saying it's the perfect 10 baby doll, Nickla Roberts Bird. That was my pro wrestling crush. She just had a way of knowing how to get heat. And if you go back and look at some of the Jim Crockett Promotions, NWA wrestling stuff on YouTube, you can see she was a trailblazer at a time when many in the industry were not trailblazers, even if they were in the industry. She might not have been your perfect size woman. She may have been a little heavier at times, but for me, it was that heaviness that gave her the beauty. And she was a heel, and she knew her part well, and she knew how to get her wrestlers over and manage her wrestlers. Not only did I see her in Jim Crockett Promotions NWA, but I saw her in Nelson Royals, Atlantic Coast Wrestling, and other places as well. And she was just, every time she went out there, she knew what she was supposed to do. Not only was she born in this business, her mother was former professional lady wrestler Lorraine Johnson, who passed away several years back. Um, but her father was Nick Roberts, a promoter and referee in the pro wrestling industry, who has also passed away, I think, now. So she grew up in the business. But just because you grow up in the business doesn't mean you're going to become a star. Kendall Windham grew up with his brother being Barry Windham and his father being Blackjack Mulligan. And Kendall Windham was not that big of a star. And there have been other instances. So just because you grow up in the business doesn't make you a star. But in Baby Doll's case, Baby Doll Nickla Roberts Bird, she had the it factor. You hear people talk about he or she had the it factor. Well, Baby Doll had it. Whatever it was, Baby Doll had it. And she belongs in any Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, past, present, or future. So, hope that answers your questions. Those of you that sent me questions regarding Nickla Roberts Bird, Baby Doll, being my crush, and don't send her husband Chad after me, please. I'm not trying to break up anybody's marriage. But Baby Doll, if you see this, I'm your number one fan, past, present, and future, and always will be. That's going to do it for me, Rusty. I'm out of here. We'll see you again for another edition of Wrestling with Rusty right here on YouTube. And until we meet again, my friends, as the voice of AEW and Ring of Honor, Ian Riccaboni would say, happy wrestling, everybody. Baby Doll, call me. Bye, everybody.